I was talking about this the other day. The pre-workout nano vapor. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's like it had some like heat map of the body, like it was on some Jason Bourne stuff, and I was like, look, well, the one after has a lot of red on it. So I'm assuming that's good. And there was a disclaimer on the logo or on the container that you shouldn't keep the container open for more than 15
Yeah.
seconds. So we talked about this on this Dean St. Martin podcast, but it was literally like me and my buddy Jacob Patterson, because my mom didn't want me to have pre-workout. It's like, cool, mom, sorry. Like it's gonna get a lot worse. And so we had to keep the pre-workout. We'd get our money together and we'd go down to GNC and we would get a locker in the tech hallway. It's like where all like the I don't know, kind of like the derelict kids who smoked cigarettes at the back fence had their lockers for whatever reason. And so we would just took a random locker, we put a lock on it, and then after school every day we would go there. And there's literally just a solitary tub of whatever pre-workout we could afford. And one of the times it was nano vapor. And looking back, it's like, God, I was fucking stupid. I'm so glad, like the idea that I'm not hooked on some sort or dead, but like hooked on some sort of drug where like the stuff you believed that didn't kill you, dude, I could have been like, someone could be like heroin. I was like, yeah, okay. Cause I believed that if you kept this tub open for more than 15 seconds, the gains left. Like, I don't really know what, but dude, we would sit there and it would be like orchestrated. Like, okay. Like it was like getting a Murtaugh off the toilet in Lethal Weapon 2. We're like, okay, hold on, 1, 2, 3, and then go, or like 1, 2, 3, you open, I scoop. Like it was insane. Like that was one that I remember, and it's like, but thank God, like that was the only thing we had access to, right? The only thing we had access to was like really hilariously bad, stupid marketing strategies on containers, and like, look, at least the ingredients, for the most part, they were relatively benign, right? There was like, I don't know, everyone was banging on about like just nitric oxide. And this was the days of proprietary blends and all this. And it was like, okay, yeah, there's like probably more caffeine in there than you think. Or there's a stimulant that we'll find out is probably not the safest. But that was kind of it, right? Like that was the extent to which you could consume misinformation in fitness. Is
Yeah.
you were swindled $47 at a time out of some tub of pre-workout. Like there wasn't any other information to really, like, forum information on the whole, from what I see on fitness right now, some of the stuff was like actually kind of smart because the people had to be invested into it. Because the very process of digesting the information or disseminating the information was like way more complex than it is now. Now it's you go on an app and you scroll and you just get inundated. So it's like in some ways I'm like really grateful that I wasn't growing up in this generation, but I think there's some takeaways that we could do, like a laundry list of, well, how is it that you appraise sources of information? Because we were just lucky. I had Luke, you had the old man, you had like the wrestling stud, and it was like, all right, this was we kind of fell ass backwards, and I still to this day, like I attribute where I am in the industry from where I started, which makes sense. Like Luke's, if you look at the level one, quick plug. Look at that on the YouTube channel. If you look at the level one manual, I literally, in every print we've ever run, Luke Bernaccia as his name is right in the forward of the book. You can't see that. The camera didn't zoom in, but I swear it's there. And it's like, all right, you might not have access to Luke. You might not have access to Big Papa J. But like, how do you vet who you have access to? Like, what are your go-to like green lights and red flags when it comes to appraising content creators on the internet?
You had to add on the internet. Yeah, that's a really, I think it's a good question. It's a really important question for people to think about because you kind of ran through it in that preamble. Is that there's kind of three generations of training that are existing simultaneously, right? There's the one before us, like Papa J, like the golden age of bodybuilding, like Arnold. These people that were getting into it, and it was just all experience, right? They did it because they loved it, and they kind of figured it out as they went. And then there's our generation, where we got the benefit of their experience. We got to learn from them, and it was a time where there was starting to become more information, or more information was becoming available, right? Things that were primarily in print. Internet wasn't too huge. It kind of towards as we developed in our training career, the internet became more and more prominent and more information became available. But even at the beginning, like when we were in high school and even in college, and when I was starting into personal training, like it wasn't that readily available. There's a couple forums online, but it wasn't as popular as it is today. And then now we're in this generation where people are starting to come into fitness, whether that's training themselves or training other people, and the information is coming to them, right? So it's a more passive consumption of information. It's algorithm driven, or it's likes and shares, and it's something that it's just getting pushed into their consciousness. So it becomes really important, as you were saying, to be able to appraise the source of that information. And I think a lot of information that we consume on the internet, especially on social media, is a watered down version of much smarter people, or much more true principles that get just passed around. And every time, it's like the telephone game. Every time someone else shares that information, it's a little different take on it. Maybe it's not necessarily more or less correct, but it's just deviating further and further from the original source. And the context might not be provided there, which a lot of times it's not. On, we exist primarily on Instagram, but I'd say even worse than that is TikTok. TikTok fitness is a big thing right now, and I know nothing about it. I probably will never know. I hopefully will never know anything about it, but as far as I know, there's even less context there. So when I start to see these things, and we'll stick with social media for now, but if you're appraising content on the internet, I think it should be outside of social media first before you start to gain information from social media. Because social media, it's very short form, it's very informal, there's no context there, and it is algorithm driven. So people are not necessarily doing it for the intention of spreading good information. They're doing it for the intention of spreading their message. So a lot of times it's more entertainment based, or it's more provocative, or they have a take that's slightly different so that people will start to talk about it and it'll get pushed by the algorithm. So I don't think that's necessarily where you should be looking for your information. I think you should be looking, start on Google. That's where everyone fucking starts. Start on Google, find articles, appraise the source, like the .com versus .edu, .gov. That's like a way to look at things, but like actually looking at where that information is coming from, understanding the credentials of the person that's providing it, and understanding the structure in which they obtain that information. And what I'm kind of describing is research appraisal, but not necessarily in the terms of just reading research, but understanding credibility, understanding where did this information come from, how trustworthy is it, how applicable is it to the sample that I want to apply it to. So things like that are all going to inform the decision of how valuable that information is. And I don't think that exists on social media. I think something that does happen on social media is a lot of people find it's the people that they're following are probably within the same, they're training the same population as the person seeking the information. So that's one thing that can help to self-select. And I don't think following is a good gauge of this, because there's the things that are going to get people a good following on social media are going to be different than the things that get people results in the gym. And, I'm not saying this about any particular person, but it's, I know, but as we're looking at someone that's focused on gathering a following on social media, they're probably investing a lot of their time into gathering a following on social media. People that are focused on gaining clients and getting progress with their clients in the gym, they're probably not focused on gaining a large following on social media. So I don't think it's a good place, or a good, yeah, we'll say a good place. I don't think it's a good place to find the most valuable information, because it's a different playing field, right? Is if you're good at social media, you're good at social media. If you're good at training people, you're good at training people. So understanding the difference between those two, and being able to see through production values, see through provocative content, and understand when people are actually getting results. And that's going to be the type of person that you want to listen to as you're starting to appraise information or find more applicable information.
I think something that I would add to that, and it's sort of like an ethos around life, is like there's no such thing as bad ideas, just bad incentives. think it's like a
I
Sam
like that.
Harris-ism. And I think that's really useful when we're looking to like, all right, what are some red flags? Well, first off, you need to filter for those flags, right? So not like for me, it's the burden of proof is always on the creator. It's always on the burden of, that you are guilty until proven innocent in this world. And that's just really growing up with a general mistrust of human beings across the board, which I would much rather that be my worldview starting point than having to learn the hard way that most people are just out for themselves. So I think that's number one is like, well, can we dig down to the bedrock of the incentive of disseminating this information, right? And there's a lot of different ways to do that. The straightest line, right, is follow the money. Always just follow the money.
Always.
So, if we're seeing affiliations with, particular, like, and not naming names is so tough. Like maybe I should even back up and say one of my other rules. It would be, is this person working towards the same goal as I am? Right.
I like that.
Like I see a lot of people, and I'll weave this into the intro, I'm sure, is talking about, who rules the roost right now in the education space as far as like credibility or respect are hyper academics that don't have the same goals as me, right?
Right.
Like Stu Locke has a saying that says, live fast, die huge, leave a big coffin. I'm listening to that guy because that's aligned with my goals, right? Like I don't give a baker's fuck if I live to be 65. I don't care. I never thought I'd live to as long as you and I are currently living to, and we're a week apart. And we're both 33 years old, I guess 33 and a half now. So not only did I not think I would live this long, I also didn't think I would be able to do the things I've done in the time I've been alive. So like, I just want to keep doing like, if, and this is not the case, at least to my understanding, if eating red meat knocks 20 years off my life, see you later. See ya later. Wasn't meant to be.
Yep.
I'll leave a note. I'll leave a note and an empty fucking plate. Like I don't give a fuck. It's just, and look, here's the thing. And I'm not saying that everyone should like try and gorge themselves to a large coffin and some sort of arthrosclerotic complication and cardiovascular disease. But like, hey, some people have really dumb goals. Look at speed walkers. People want to be the best in the world at speed walking. Okay, that's the dumbest thing in the world. You can literally, your sport can get beat by a Segway. Like that is really dumb. So I don't think everyone, but no one bats an eye at that. That's the dumbest goal on the planet. And the things you have to do to be good at it make you look stupid, right? Everyone who speed walks all drink soy milk. Sorry, like that's just how it works. Competitive speed walking should be sponsored by soy milk. But like, what is my father always said, as long as you're not hurting nobody, I don't care what you do. And so drink all your soy milk and speed walk, and I'm gonna be over here doing my thing. So that's like number one for me. Before we even get into incentives, it's like, are you consuming information that is from a source that has a consistent value and goal set as you, right? Like right now, the hyper academic space that is just going off the Drake effect of popular podcasters and just getting a lot of notoriety based off of that. It's like, look, great. If your goal is to genuinely just be now different between feeling and being. If your goal is to feel healthier, sure. If your goal is to be healthier, then you need to go down the nuance, because feeling healthy can be just enacting on some of these practices and feeling like you're making a conscious effort towards a goal. And that's, you can feel, and feelings are very powerful. So it's cool if you can feel that. You can take the supplements they recommend. You can feel a part of the community that they foster and sort of cultivate around the content. I'm not bashing that. What I'm bashing is 16 to 20 to 30-year-old kids whose goal should be, and I say should because, look, there's human beings are insanely resilient. Like insane, especially when you're 20. Like look at like a toddler. Like a toddler, you watch him fall over and you're like, it's just a rubber ball. Like it just bounces right back up. Now your fragility and mortality become more real as you get older, undoubtedly. But like, if you're a male between the age of 18 and 35, like, and you're thinking about the latter half of your life, or your goal is to live to 100 plus, like, look, cool. All right. But I would say the majority of people out there who are taking fitness advice around supplementation, around training frequency, around exercise selection, execution, their goal is either one, ill-defined, or two, not in line with the way that they're actually going about it. Now, because what they're doing is they're looking at this pecking order that's being established by some of the criteria that you talked about, right? Like by the likes and views and engagement from people who are content creators, right? So if we look at, what is their incentive? It's like most of these people's incentive is to be right, right? Academia is, is proving things to be true, right? Or disproving things to be true. So, does that align with your goals? It's like, well, I would argue that most people, if you're going through what is like, it becomes more arduous to train consistently as you're older. That's why most people don't do it. Like when I was 16, 17, everyone kind of had a fair shake at working out because, again, we all had zero responsibilities. Then, as 18 years old, you got a couple buddies and knock up their girlfriend, and you're like, well, see you later. They're going to get fat now because they have a kid before they're 20. Like, all right, man, that guy used to be jacked and now he's a dad. And then, like, in your 20s, we go to school. We saw it at grad school. Like, unless you were really in it, it was hard. Me and you were the only ones that trained consistently through grad school. There was 50 kids in our class, all that were fairly athletic to start. And by the end of it, it was literally just me and you in the gym. I watched like, dude, seriously, like, we got by with our passing grades. I watch guys who came with like a very strong athletic background. Most chiropractors are just failed athletes that want to stay in sports and be relevant with like, hey, right here. That's me to a T.
Yeah.
And like I watch guys go from high level athletes to fucking potatoes in 4 years. Because it's like, yo, yeah, I understand. You got better grades than me. That's fine. It was a sacrifice I was willing to make because I love to train. But it's just like, then you get into your, like, it's all about setting the bar really high. Like I trained less during grad school than I did when I was 18 or 16 because that's all I did. I heeded no warnings from people who told me like, oh, you shouldn't train to failure, or you shouldn't train every day, or you shouldn't train multiple times a day. Jesus Christ. There was blocks where I would overreach and do 12 sessions a week. That's insane. But I could do it and I did it. But if you're 17 years old and you're doing 12 sessions a week, when you hit grad school at 23, your idea of tapered down is relative to a different starting point. If you're 17 and you're training 3 days a week on some full body split, and you're like deliberately training your tibialis anterior and you're doing bird dogs, it's like, dude, by the time you hit grad school, you're going to have, your calibration for like your work capacity or even your drive is just not going to be there. You're going to go down to almost zero. Yeah. The guy that trains 12 sessions a week, if he titrates down, he's probably titrating down to something like a normal dose of exercise, which for him is actually going to be beneficial because it's going to be relatively less stressful than what you're used to. So like, and I still do this in somewhat deliberate fashion when I can. Now, mind you, my schedule's been not so that I could do this in the last couple of years, but there was a time where my travel schedule wasn't as crazy. And if I knew I had a week where like I really couldn't train, but I had months where I was at home eating meals and sleeping as best I could, I would deliberately overreach for months, knowing that like when I got to this week it's going to go home for family and Christmas and the niece and nephew are there, and I'll probably only train 3-4 days a week. It's like, well, I can still make that part of a consistent progression. So it's like, and all of that started for me by just like, I found a guy who is aligned with my goals. Luke Bernatchez is the most jacked dude I've ever met. And I was like, I want to be the most jacked dude I've ever met. What does Luke do? Well, he rolls a joint on the owner's manual of his Pontiac G6, and he takes Jack 3D before he trains. Great. I'll hand him the owner's manual, and I'll sit quietly while he smokes his dub, and then I'll say nothing for 4 years until I decided that it was okay to talk to him. And I'll take my Jack 3D like a good boy, and we met that in my head, and I'll train 7 days a week and trying to keep up with this guy who's 7 years older than me. And that's what I did. And so for me, it's like, part of the appraisal process really starts with a self audit of like, what do you actually want out of this? And look, if you want to be right and maybe live longer, sure. Like, I just couldn't imagine like imagine dying young and listening to Huberman. Like imagine, like, do you ask for your money back? Like, how does that work? Do you send them a letter from your deathbed? Like, yo, dog, I'm 67 and I'm terminal and I've got sun up my balls and I got Tongat Ali on deck, but I'm still dead. It's like what is like, or what is, you celebrate your 111th birthday, like fucking Bilbo Baggins, and you send him a letter? Like, do you invite him? Like, do you invite Huberman to your 111th birthday party? Because like, yo, thanks, man. I don't have fucking eyelashes anymore, but I'm still here. Can I tell you something? You know what I want for my 111th birthday? A fucking bullet through my brain. You think I want 100? You want 85 more years of this? Are you out of your goddamn mind, dude? I want off this ride.
Yeah.
So number one, in the appraisal process, appraise what the fuck you actually want. Number two, go out and find people who are consistently embodying and acting upon those goals and who maybe even accomplish those goals, right? Because there's a lot of different ways we can cut this fitness stuff, but I think a lot of times we default to this hierarchy of authority, or we have this sort of this subjection to authority, and everyone kind of falls in line because the talking heads that be say that this guy is the smartest guy. And it's like, no, like, I'm sure he's not the smartest guy. If I wanted the smartest guy, I wouldn't be in fitness. I'd be a polymath, right? I'd be a fucking theoretical physicist. Like, that's, if I don't give a fuck about the smartest guy in fitness. I care about the superlatives that exist within the subdomain of fitness itself. Give me the leanest guy. Give me the biggest guy. Give me the biggest, leanest guy. Give me the fastest guy. Give me the strongest guy. Give me the most agile guy. These are relevant metrics in the field that we're discussing. Smartest guy in fitness to me is the dumbest claim of all time. It's like about as dumb as the job title of bikini posing coach. Like, well, that doesn't exist, right? Like, what does that even mean? What is the smartest guy in fitness? It's like, it's not about being smart, right? So for me, it's just a matter of like, okay, if we're going to appraise, start internal and be like, what do you want? And then from there, and like, these are high level stuff. I think we can look at like, what are red flags next, right? Like, what would be like practices that we see where you're like, this person, based off of like the type of stuff they post or the frequency they post or how they post or the platform they post on, like, what are some things where you see and you're like, oh no, this is cringe. This is probably not right. This is probably bad information, without even knowing the information.
Yeah. So I'll start by saying that I try not to spend my time in those corners of the internet because it just pisses me off. And I have enough things in my day-to-day life that piss me off. But I'll go with kind of off the tails of what you were just saying, is there's a wisdom that comes with experience, right? People that have done it, they understand at least how to do it a way. And that way may not work for everyone. It may not be the best way, but it's a way, it's knowledge, and you're gaining some sort of experience from that you can then build off of. So that's where I would start, is that if someone's giving you advice on something they've never done themselves, that's a big fucking red flag. Like you said, a lot of the people, especially in the education space, in the biomechanics space, there's a lot of people that don't train or aren't strong or aren't big or don't look good or never got results that are telling a lot of people what to do. And the red flag for me is someone that doesn't or isn't willing to differentiate outwardly facing the difference between novelty and utility. And I understand that there's a utility to novelty at certain times, but it's the proportion of utility, right? So something that I've seen recreatively get people strong for my entire training career is a back squat. A back squat is kind of the fucking goat if you want to get strong. It's very accessible, it's very scalable, it's very loadable, it's very regressible, progressible. Back squats work. Strong people usually squat a lot of weight. If I were to put a post on my Instagram right now saying that, no one would give a fuck because they'd be like, yeah, we know. But you know what? There's a ton of fucking utility to a back squat. There's a ton of fucking people that do back squats on a weekly basis, maybe more than a weekly basis. But if I were to go on my Instagram and put some single leg, cable loaded, banded, fucking Joel Seedlecock post up, and it pisses a bunch of people off, and it's this very novel thing that has a very limited utility, people are going to say a bunch of shit about it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and a lot of people are going to see it. It's this very novel thing that has very little utility. So things like that are a huge red flag for me, because you're getting people talking. You're building an audience around something that doesn't fucking matter, as opposed to just sticking to principles of exercises that actually work, have been proven to work, and have worked for, I don't know, since the beginning of exercise.